Good Thursday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel. Talks about all my cars and trucks and SUVs and motorcycles and dogs and kid and life and projects and attitudes. And there, it's Thursday morning, right? Oh my gosh! Well, hey, thanks for tuning in my channel. Appreciate the support. And what are we doing today? What are we talking about today? It's always an adventure and a conversation on the Ice Age TV with the Iceman here. And just beautiful up here. Yeah, I forgot what day it is. Yesterday morning, I said good Tuesday morning. One of my subscribers said good Wednesday morning. I'm like, why is he saying good Wednesday morning? Does he mean he's already given me a good Wednesday morning for the following day? Not realizing until hours and hours later that yesterday was Wednesday, not Tuesday. I totally forgot what day it is of the week. Oh my gosh. Hey, the kid, my daughter, spent the day weed whacking the property. And until you run a weed whacker, you just don't understand how much work and time it is. Yes, she started at 9:30 yesterday morning, and she didn't finish up till late yesterday afternoon. And wow, thank goodness for my kid. I mean, I've done the weed whacking on this property for 30 plus years, and it's just so much time and work. She drove around the John Deere Gator. That was her little vehicle to run around and use the trimmer and rewind the trimmer. That's the thing. It's all about the energy and rewinding that line. That just takes up so much of your time. And those weed whackers are not light. So my daughter did a fab of getting the property look somewhat better. There's always projects in the property. I mean, back there, the trees are taking over, and oh my gosh. And then yesterday afternoon, I got back in. I got on the cleanup, my shop project. Come on, pups. I don't even know who's here or not. Come on, am I going to forget about one of the dogs? Yes, a forgotten conversation. So yeah, I cleaned up my shop. If you look here, I kind of rearranged my shop a little bit here. And how about the Fury in front of the Dodge Charger? Is that pretty cool? Yeah, so I mean, I really took the time yesterday to really just try to get my shop. I just hate clutter. It just drives me nuts. So tell you what, here I have so many toolboxes. I have tons of these little toolboxes. There's a Honda Rancher or a Honda four-wheeler rear rack I should sell. I've got the Ford steps or the Ford Tremor out there now in my junk trailer. And it's got all my junk from yesterday. And boy, I wonder if those things are worth it. Is they just give them away, or can you get $300 for them? I have no idea. And does anybody even want them? If you know what I mean. I don't know. So the Bronco riding yesterday, and oh my goodness gracious, yeah, projects. So I spent the whole afternoon yesterday getting my shop organized in my other office here that you don't really see per se, and just rearranged a lot of things, get that newer, fresher feeling. But then yet it just doesn't end. All the clutter and junk. And hey, a person reached out this morning and said, "Hey man, your CVO Road Glide here, the wheels look the same, but they're not the same because the front wheel on the 2020 CVO is a 21-inch wheel, and on your 2023 it's a 19-inch wheel." So hey, thank you very much. That's probably one reason why this bike feels more nimble and faster and better, because it has a smaller front tire. The big front wheel looks cool, but takes away from that handling aspect. So come on, pups. Let's get upstairs here and get the morning going and talk about the forgotten ones. We forget. Isn't that something, how with all the technology we have today and everything's right within hand's reach of what date it is. I mean, here's the 17th. Does it actually say Thursday? Yeah, it does. So like yesterday, if I really looked at my watch, it would have said Wednesday the 16th. I thought, isn't that ironic? I think that I could have said, hey, it's the 16th of August, but it's the 16th purchase of the year for me in that Harley-Davidson Road Glide CVO. Yeah, is that factual? I've purchased so far this year 16 vehicles. Maybe 17. I can't even I can't keep track. I forget even what I buy. So, isn't that something? But, all right, let's get up here. Yeah, this is probably another project to work on and get my life a little more organized. Even though I did rearrange just a little bit, but hey, there's always something to do when it comes to taking care of the house and business, right? So, get my coffee. Yeah, a lot of manual labor. Yesterday, I did so much manual labor. That's all I did. Believe it or not, I'm a manual labor guy. And my saying, most of my career, has been, I'm just a high-class grunt. That's what my saying. I'm not lying to you. I tell people, what do you do? Oh, I'm just a high-class grunt. For all the manual labor I've done most of my life, yeah, we were out of high school. I worked in a warehouse, in the parts industry. I used to do all the parts, put away all the parts and work the counter and mow the grass and clean all the windows and clean all the shelves and stock all the shelves. And that's what I did. I mean, when I worked at Fairfax Auto Parts out of Fairfax City, Virginia, back in 1982 to 85, I was a very diligent worker. And I used to go lift at the gym and go work. I would work out at the gym Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. And then Sunday through Friday, I worked 6 days a week. And so I was always using my body to do my activities. And I spent half of the day taking all the inventory for all the parts, stocking everything in, stocking all the shelves, replenishing everything, cleaning the bathroom, cleaning the floors, dusting the shelves, cleaning the windows, outside grass cutting, just always trying to keep the place in good shape. And well, majority of people just sat around and didn't want to do much of anything besides watch the clock and answer the phone and get a few parts and go home. And so then I went from there to the oil industry where I drove a truck and then eventually started pulling a big old long hose. Well, I did maintenance. I was up setting up fuel tanks on site for construction sites, delivering motor oils, and taking trash for my bosses, go by their house, pick up all their trash, and take to the dump. Yeah, and then eventually I was driving tanker trucks where you pull a big long hose to pull, if you've ever pulled one of those big long hoses, 50 to 100 feet to fill up a fuel tank or an oil tank. Yeah, you start to get that, whether it's 100 degrees out or 0 degrees out, and you're pulling it through the winter months. Wow. Yeah, you forget about all those things in your true beginnings of life, of kind of getting going. Then I got into the wireless car wash industry of selling a product where eventually I was detailing cars just to make a living. I mean, literally manual labor beyond manual labor. And then after that, I got into the public telephone business where I started installing pay telephones, and I had to go out and pour concrete pads, dig ditches to pull electric and phone line, and climbing telephone poles, going up on top of buildings, crawling through business ceilings, of pulling phone cable to put the payphone out in front of the business, and then just putting all the phones together. I mean, those payphones were heavy as hell. Superman boosts, I put those in. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So my whole life has been around manual labor, me literally moving. In my lifting days, so much helped me when I was very young and started lifting weights and played sports. That was such a key foundation to my strength and ability to do so much work. So sometimes we forget where our true history is, and I think to myself, today more than ever, are we getting ready to witness the forgetful society, the forgotten ones? I mean, but if anything, let's just keep it in the car aspect. Who hasn't forgotten their keys? Who hasn't forgotten where you put your keys? I mean, to the point today, they have the little air tags. You can buy this little device that you can put on your set of keys, and if you lose your keys, you can look on your phone, and you can hopefully find your keys. But who hasn't had that problem of losing their keys? Or you leave your keys, you forgot to take the keys out of your car, you leave it in the car, and you lock the car, and now your keys are stuck in the vehicle. Who hasn't done that in their life? Well, yeah, what do you think AAA does half the time? Goes and rescue people that leaves their keys in their car. And even today, with all the technology in these cars, it still happens. When we were down in Tennessee, meeting our future little puppy that we got here, Kiefer Boy, the owner came by in her Jeep Grand Cherokee Grand Cherokee vehicle she's renting, with all the dogs in it, and she locked her keys in the car. All the dogs, except Kiefer, was outside with us, were locked in the vehicle. Even today's technology, there's a brand new rented Jeep Grand Cherokee, and you would think that the car, having the fob inside the car, wouldn't let the car lock the doors per se. I mean, that kind of gets complicated because if you're in the car with the key fob, how do you lock your car doors? But you would just think where today's society is that that it wouldn't be easy to do that. She had to call AAA and come there. We had to witness AAA guy come out and get the keys out of the car because she forgot to grab a set of keys, both sets of keys. I mean, wow. So that was an adventure. That was kind of concerning. And she was borderline freaking out because it's a hot day. The car is running, thank God. So that would have even been more freaky if the car wasn't running. So, yeah, so the car, the technology, today's car, here's the thing. The stories of these, no longer, you don't need a lock and tumbler key to start your car up, and you have a fob and a push button to start your car. There's a huge problem, as we all know, that people forget to turn it off. There's stories after stories of people going to the airport and they leave their car running because it's such a quiet running car. And when they come back, the car is empty. But even though most manufacturers today have like a 30-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute duration, but the car just eventually turns off by itself. And which, thank goodness, they've done that because we know the stories that people parking the car in the garage. Yeah, and the emissions from the car kills them. Who hasn't heard those stories? I mean, that's sad because they forgot to turn the car off. So manufacturers finally got smart, and they put the car into the 30-minute, and then it just turns off by itself. And then the even sadder stories, you hear of people forget their kid. I mean, think about that. Wow. The kid, they leave their child in the back seat. They forget to drop them off at daycare. They're so fixated on something else. And then the father or mother goes into work all day, comes out, and they find their child. And it's just, wow. Again, versus Ford, I'm sure other manufacturers are doing it, but I don't have all other manufacturers. But Ford has a little alert that you can have set up in the car to remind you that there's something in the back seat. So it's a good feature because we all get so fixated and we forget things. I mean, what creates us to forget things? I think it's because there's just so much going on. I mean, I think today more than ever, I think we forget things even more because there's just so much constant information of us taking in information. Kind of like these vehicles these days. I was thinking to myself yesterday, I was talking about these battery tenders on these vehicles. Well, today more than ever, the cars, motorcycles, whatever it is, they're constantly have something going on with electronics in these vehicles. Even the car's not running, it still has the alarm system that's functioning in the background, or a software update, or whatever it may be. So these cars more than ever today are constantly having a drain on the battery from all the technology in the vehicles, including motorcycles. The little, your little alarm thing. I had a guy down in Florida when I was buying the Lowrider ST. Gentleman just came in out of the blue with his Jeep Gladiator and a trike, and he was befuddled in how when he traveled, by the time he got to the next location, his trike's battery would be dead. So I took him outside and I showed him how you have to put a travel mode on the motorcycle. He was really tickled pink that I sat there and really took the time to show him how you turn on the Harleys. You turn on the ignition, you turn the ignition off, and then you hold down both sides of the handlebar turn signals. You press them in, and then the motorcycle will flash 3 times its lights, and you'll see on the dash transport mode, and you've deactivated the alarm for the motorcycle so that the motorcycle doesn't think it's being stolen. And if you're a Harley person, you kind of know that language, because if you don't do that, if you go on your 500-mile journey or whatever it may be, by the time you get to your location, your motorcycle's battery's dead. There's these stories all the time of this happening. So, and it's interesting. Indian's motorcycle doesn't have a travel mode, which is kind of weird. That doesn't make any sense. Other bikes I've owned and transported, I wonder why Harley's, it's something about the gyro effect or something, I guess. Yeah, so today, more than ever, I think that we're challenged more so because we just get so much information between our devices, electronic devices. We just have so much stuff being shown to us. And it's like for me yesterday, here I'm thinking yesterday's Tuesday when it's Wednesday. I mean, I'm just like, even to the point when the person said on my comments from my yesterday morning's talking points conversation, I truly thought he was reaching out, just being funny, like good Wednesday morning. Maybe he's in a different time zone. It's already good Wednesday morning. I don't know. So I was like, and it wasn't until hours and hours later that I finally figured out. I was like, what day is today? And my daughter was like, it's Wednesday. I'm like, today's Wednesday? I'm like, okay. Yeah, you forget things. Yeah, I read so much information, I forget to tell people things that I've read, and I talk about things. There's just so much. It's just the information overload. And with the car industry, it's so many things going on. And I just think to myself, are we going to be the forgotten ice age people of where it's going? Here's the latest information on the Inflation Reduction Act. Here yesterday, August 16th, was the 1-year anniversary that Joe Biden and Barack Obama are bragging about this new Inflation Reduction Act, and how it's going to save this country, and it's going to be the better for the country, and it's going to be such a great thing. And Barack Obama this morning posted on X that everybody's health care costs have gone down. Has anybody heard that? I don't know. Everybody's health care, he said everybody's health care costs have gone down thank goodness to the Inflation Reduction Act. That's news to me. Does anybody watch my channel? Can you give me a heads up? Yeah, my bill went from $1,000 a month to $999 a month, or it went from $1,000 a month to $1,200 a month, or it went from $1,000 to $900. I don't know. My deductible went from $5,000 to $3,000. No, my deductible now is $10,000. You know these stories? You understand how you buy insurance today and you pick your deductible to try to keep your premiums down? Yeah. Anybody know those stories? So, but the Inflation Reduction Act, the automotive industry, the EV sides, they're now doing statistics, and they're showing that it just ain't happening. And what they're claiming is the new Inflation Reduction Act reworded your criteria for your rebate of up to $7,500 in a vehicle, but the vehicle had to have X amount of components from this country in order to qualify for the full rebate. And if you had X amount of components from a foreign country, then you didn't get the full $7,500, you had a partial. So they're claiming that the reason the EV vehicles are not selling as much as they were last year, even though they do mention that the very high gas prices did kind of spur it, even though they never mentioned that you just had a lot of people that were just hell-bent to have a bunch of vehicle. I think they captured that market. And that's like anything. Everybody, your brother runs out that's so excited about it, but then the other majority aren't excited. And so you just flush out that market, and then they're waiting for the other people to show up that don't show up. So the point is, they're saying that the problem is the tax credit is the reason people are buying electric vehicles. Oh, wow. All right. And, well, they also do mention that the electric vehicle is still very expensive. Okay. So this Inflation Reduction Act, for all this, electric agenda, isn't happening as fast as they anticipated. So, wow, amazing. Yeah, this is just step one of many more things to come, that as we witness all this government money being handed out at the taxpayers' expense, that the business model, it really does play out and create the less expensive economy. I think all of us here know it's going to be the most expensive economy that we're going to witness in this country. And once again, it seems like these politicians are just, smoking pot, I guess. I mean, pot's legal in so many states now, but did you know that MasterCard no longer will honor pot purchases because it's only a state level by state level legality? Federal doesn't recognize pot. Did you know that? Federal still doesn't recognize pot as being legal. It's only state by state. So MasterCard, they're pulling out of any type of drug purchase because they don't want to be involved in the fiasco down the road of any type of, what do you call it, interstate transactions versus intrastate transactions. So that's kind of interesting. I read that a while back. I forgot to bring that up. So, yeah, these guys are smoking pot because the true beginnings in this country was just such a basics of the freedoms of your rights and the opportunity. And you didn't have to look like this or look like that. And so many people come to our country because they feel like this is an opportunity for them to be who they want to be. And if they work hard enough and strive hard enough, they can do that. And it's not expensive to live here. But that's all changing under this crazy politicians we have and the crazies that are electing these politicians that don't even know who they're electing. I mean, anymore, it just if sadly we just vote because of you think this party that you're part of is the right party, and that person's with that party, so you just assume that person's a good person to elect. Yeah, right. That doesn't work that way. Never really has, but more so than ever, it's not working very well. People forget that these people that show up on these parties, they could have been a whole different party person prior. Do you know those stories? And they switch parties just to get elected because they can't run against their own. So, anyways, these politicians forgetting the true beginnings of this country, sadly. So, for the Inflation Reduction Act, the expenses that us people are paying to create this new Green Deal, the AKA our IRA or IRA aka New Green Deal, to enrich those select individuals who are getting into all this renewable energy and batteries and solar panels and semiconductor chips and car manufacturing. Let's goes on and on and on. So, okay, well, right, we're going to just have to sit around a while and see how this all plays out, and it's going to take time for us to see if what they're saying really does come to be. But I think what's interesting here is Ford just announced that they're going to start putting the Blue Cruise in the majority of all their cars. 2024 and on, the Blue Cruise technology will be in cars, but here's the kicker. It won't be activated. If you want the Blue Cruise, and for those out there who don't know what the Blue Cruise is the self-driving capability where I've shown many videos in my Ford Power Boost and my first Ford Tremor F-150 I've had, in my F-150 Lightning truck, in my Mach-E. Those vehicles have the self-driving capability where it's mapped on the interstates and highways. In certain roads, for the most part, it's highways. And you don't have to have your hands on the steering wheel, and the vehicle drives itself. And with the adaptive cruise technology, the radar, sonar, whatever you want to call it, you can drive down the road with no feet on the gas pedal or the the electric pedal or the brake, and the car, sets its speed and paces itself with other vehicles, and the steering wheel follows the road as you go down the road. It gets a little freaky, but anyways, so Ford is going to do that, but here's the kicker. You need to pay a subscription fee of $75 a month or $800 a year, or $2,100 for 3 years. They give you a $300 discount if you get a 3-year package for you to have that activated in your vehicle. So if you're the person that buys the Blue Cruise technology and a new car, and you're like, I want nothing to do with that stuff, it's not a big deal. Don't pay for it. It doesn't work. If you're the person that really wants it, you can pay the monthly subscription. But I think to myself, oh boy, here we go. Here's the beginning of what's going to happen, which I think so many people will 100% agree, is the subscription travel plan. That's where it's all going, I think. I think the manufacturers, as time goes on, and this forced EV agenda is going to truly force these manufacturers to create the poor man's electric vehicle ownership, usability. I mean, I think it's going to be a usability thing. I think where it's going to go as time progresses is you're not going to own a car anymore. The government's going to control who owns the cars. The manufacturers will be regulated by the government and how they do all this, because the government's going to say, well, it wasn't for us. You wouldn't have gotten all this free money we gave to you to get you where you are. So here's the rules. Here's the ball game. It's like low-income housing and all this other stuff that's subsidized. And so I think what it's going to go to is, you're going to be given a vehicle, and you're going to be in a subscription basis use of the vehicle. But it never will be your vehicle. It'll be owned by the manufacturer and regulated by the government. And you probably will pay dearly to drive around in it when it's not a specific task. I think that what the future is going to be, if you want to take the weekend joyride, you're going to pay a lot of money on the weekend to drive a vehicle. Oh yeah, be all computer operated. If you're driving back and forth to go to work or go to school or go to take a project or whatever it may be, see family, you're not going to pay that much money. But once you want to go just joyride around in it, for all the greenie activists that, start foaming at the mouth, you're going to pay dearly to drive the vehicle. You're going to pay on the weekend probably more money to activate the vehicle. I mean, to be so controlled, you're going to have your phone or whatever device by that time, your watch, or it's probably be with Elon Musk, it'll be a chip embedded in your head. And Google did the glasses things that freaked out everybody, where you'd be videoing people through your glasses. That didn't work. But the whole point is, you're going to have to activate your vehicle, and it's on the weekend. You're probably going to have to pay a premium to get it to power on for you to go somewhere and ride around in it and be penalized big time for being a nuisance to society of riding around the roads, and you shouldn't. Yeah, it sounds far-fetched, but we'll be forgotten. Us Ice Age people, you'll hear stories 50 years from now. Oh, wow, my grandfather, the Iceman, he used to ride his motorcycles or cars or trucks and go everywhere he wanted, travel to Florida, Tennessee. He rode around, took care of a business he owned in D.C., and he did whatever he wanted. He just got in his car and drove anytime he wanted, went to the gas station, and that'll be like, wow, that's amazing you can do that. As my future grandchildren or great-grandchildren will be controlled by the government more than ever of what they can and can't do. And the availability for you to have the freedom to travel where you want, it's gonna be controlled. Now the flying cars, you hear so much about the flying cars. That's still the pods. And to me, I don't know why people say to me flying cars. Why do you want a flying car? It's just gonna be a pod. In my opinion, it's just gonna be a drone, a full-size drone that you can get into and take off and go somewhere. I mean, that's the future. If you ask me, that's the real future, is these drones, which you just order one and it comes and picks you up and it takes you away and drops you off, and there you go. So where is that business model, right? Yeah, so the forgotten ones. And here's for Tony Stewart. He may be a forgotten one. Tony Stewart apparently has, dirt tracking SRX series? Here's interesting conversations going on. Leah Pruitt is very interested in Tony's business of racing dirt, I guess. I'm just assuming Tony Stewart's a dirt guy. I mean, I lived in Flemington, New Jersey, where we used to have Flemington Raceway. It was a dirt track. So I was very young. I used to go to the Friday, Saturday night dirt tracking, sprinter cars, and watch that stuff. Crazy stuff. But that's where I think Tony Stewart's true beginnings are. So he loves the dirt. And sadly, we all know what happened to Tony one night when a guy that was smoking pot decided to confront him after he crashed his car. And the guy took a flying leap in the air and is dead. Yeah, very sad story. And for Tony Stewart, very debatable about all that stuff. But the whole point is, for Leah Pruitt, apparently she's wanting to get in that series. And Tony's just like, no. So even the point that he being the owner of the Top Fuel, that Matt Hagan and Leah Pruitt all run his ownership of his team, that he doesn't even want to race her in drag racing. He doesn't want to be sleeping on the couch. I think it's funny. He always kind of makes the assumptions that he's going to win. Tony's funny, because he always kind of makes it, well, I don't want to be sleeping on the couch when I beat my wife. Oh, really? What if your wife beats you? How are you going to feel? Yeah, so he really wants nothing to do with a wife being head-to-head in any event, of any racing of any sort. He feels that he truly is going to just ruin the marriage. And yeah, he will be the forgotten one, right? Yeah, so I guess his position is, I'll have to lose. I'll have to let the wife win. I think that's classic. Leah Pruitt making Tony Stewart bow down, coward, right? Yeah, what the men do for the women, right? Or the women do for the men. We can't get too involved in the man-woman thing. Yeah, so, yeah, and some people seem to forget what gender they are. Yeah, are we witnessing that more than ever, that people to forget what gender they are? Yeah, right, and that's a whole other conversation. So, yeah, and who doesn't know the feeling, things you want to forget? I mean, who doesn't have that, where you just want to forget all about what did happen? Yeah, have you ever been in a car accident, relationships, business mistakes, whatever it may be, where it's just a terrible ending? You're like, forget that. Who doesn't want to just, push that under the rug, right? So I forgot to mention this morning, oh my gosh, my parts for my Harley Davidson brand new CVR guy, they all came in yesterday. And once again, it was me thinking it's Tuesday, and the guy from the dealership calls me. I'm like, wow, those parts weren't supposed to come in until I think it's like Wednesday or Thursday. Guys, like, they're all here. I'm like, wait a second. The windshield's in? He's like, yeah. The muffler's in. Yep. The saddlebag bars to protect the saddlebags. Yep. The highway pegs. Yep. Even though they're not making the CVO specific road, specific highway peg matchability at this time. But I just want to have highway pegs. So for the moment, who cares? Buy some pegs that look respectable on the bike. And what else did I get with it? Oh, the tuner. I got to buy the tuner, which is like $500. This is hard for me to believe. They're claiming that when you just do a slip-on muffler, the parts guy swears up and down. He's a really knowledgeable guy too. He's got a nice seat. He has a nice road glide, and he's into all the performance stuff. And he's been there for quite a while, so he knows his stuff. And he's like, the technology in these new bikes is so radical that if you change out that muffler and it doesn't have as much back pressure, that bike's not going to run the same. So you have to get the tuner. So now I'm going to get all that stuff. I'm going to go up there today. My goal is, I can only hope I can get out of here today and get up to Bel Air, Maryland, Darlington, Maryland. And I'm going to go buy all my stuff. Then I'm going to do my project, and I'll do videos. I'll do the how-to video on just share my excitement of putting my mufflers on and putting the new windshield on. I can't wait to get the windshield, ride down the road, and see if that really is a huge difference. So I forgot to talk about the most important thing that could happen today. And that is to go spend a bloody fortune of Harley Davidson parts money. You know as well as I do, how much do you think the mufflers are? The mufflers are $1,000. But I get a 15% discount. Well, no, I get 10% off of that because it's not a Harley product. Since I bought a brand new bike there, I get 15% off of all the Harley branded accessories. Yeah, and everybody knows, like that windshield, it's $238. Yeah, well, I'm going to pay 85% of that. So, what's that going to be? It's going to be like $190, I guess. So, yes, am I getting ready to spend a chunk of money? Yeah. And then, can I get the tuner to map to my phone that I can do this stuff myself? And after I do the muffler and the tune, yeah, we'll see. I just dread the idea of having to take the bike up to the dealership just for them to do a tune on it. So, hopefully that tuner, you know what's incredible is how you're not realize this, but Harley got hammered years ago by the EPA for doing these tunes and modding these bikes, but they're back. And I think that these are even some dealerships that won't even do it. But apparently this is a Harley tuner, so I'm not real in depth on that. Anyways, all right, I'm kind of leave it at that. I can talk and talk and talk. I got to cut it off. So yeah, and have the politicians forgotten who elected them? It's just ridiculous where we are, and what has the younger generations clueless of what they're doing and the divisions that they're creating, that they're being brainwashed by this social media machine and the powers to be of the lawlessness society that rewards these people for doing bad, devious things. Wow, okay. Not going to go into that. Leave it at that. So anyways, hey, follow along for the adventures. And what am I going to drive to Baltimore? Or I should say Darlington, Maryland. I should take my Charger Hellcat. I haven't driven that thing in ages. That's what I should do. But I'm just loving my Bronco. Yeah, if I forgot about my cars down in Tennessee. If I've forgotten about them, I haven't. I need to go get them. That's a whole other project. All right, everybody, hey, thanks for watching my channel. Appreciate all the comments and support. And as always, God bless. Have a safe day. Have a great day. And stay tuned for the adventures.